In President Trump's first year back in office, we've delivered the most secure border in American history. And we did it with the immediate aftermath we were facing from that humanitarian crisis that was created from Joe Biden's open border policies. It is so quiet here now today that sometimes we even forget how bad it was just a little over a year ago. And the importance of the accomplishment that has happened over this last year cannot be forgotten. Hardworking Americans all along this southern border were devastated. They were trying to do their jobs, educate their kids, and protect the future when they were handed this humanitarian crisis and saw the horrors of what was happening when millions of people were crossing our border unvetted, when they were trespassing onto private property. We had crimes being committed. We saw women and children being trafficked, people dying, and crimes continued to be perpetuated as people were allowed to come into the country unvetted and unstopped. You know, yesterday I was in Eagle Pass, Texas, and I had the chance to tour the border, not just with our Border Patrol agents, but also with the Texas National Guard and the Texas Department of Public Safety. And we looked at some of the areas that were the hardest hit during the Biden border policies. In September of 2023, Eagle Pass saw an unprecedented crisis face them. In fact, they had to declare a state of emergency due to the rush of illegal aliens that were coming into their town and through their community to get into the United States. On one day, they saw over 10,000 people come through that area to get into the United States unvetted and illegally. In just a couple of days, it doubled the population of their town. And it caused a crisis not just for their medical care facilities, their businesses, and their families, but it absolutely crushed them and their economy. And their crime was rampant and overrun. And just last week, or a week or so ago, I got to spend some time in Brownsville, Texas, spent some time with farmers and ranchers. And we talked about what their lives were like just a little over a year and a half ago. How they saw trespassers come onto their property, cut their fences. Their livestock were loose, and sometimes they incurred death there as well. They had crimes, people breaking into their homes and their facilities. They were finding dead bodies on their ranches. In fact, we saw unprecedented death from those illegal migrants that were coming into our country because of the heat exhaustion, and they also were forced into water, and people were drowning because of the crush and the push to take advantage of those open border policies. Those ranchers were talking about how different it was for them now. The fact that their ranches are safe again, that they don't have drug cartels running drugs across their property and down their roads and endangering their children and their schools. Many of the schools in many of these communities had to put up barriers and protections and boulders and rocks just between the roads and their schools to keep their children safe so that they could go in and out and get their education in a way that would protect their lives. When things like this happen, people are not just challenged with the crime, but they're challenged with the fact that their economy is hurt, their businesses are hurt, and also that these illegal migrants were being victimized each and every day. At worst, illegal aliens threatened the lives of American citizens with crime and violence and drugs, but they brought with them a recognition that the rule of law didn't matter in America anymore, that laws weren't going to be enforced, and it sent a message around the world that people could just come to America and no one was going to do anything about letting those dangerous individuals come in with terrorists, suspected terrorists and criminals that were allowed to come in with those illegal migrants. And while the left tries to tell us many times that it's somehow compassionate to allow that kind of chaos, it isn't. It was dangerous, not just on this side of the border, but on the Mexican side of the border as well.